After the Battle of Bosworth, Henry VII emerged as the victor of the War of the Roses. He became the first Tudor king and the founder of the Tudor dynasty. But what did he truly look like? It might come as a shock, but Henry had period ideal coloring. It kills me I cannot show you, but NPG's webpage has a close-up of his eyes in this portrait. They are dark shade of blue. Here's how to find it. Grey eyes in portraits are the result of cheaper blue pigments being used and fading over time. So Vigil was right, Hall was wrong. As for the skin, it was very fair. With such a pale white tone, it is possible it could have looked unhealthy sometimes. Sallow comment probably refers to it or to the sickness of his late years. In portraits, skin is yellow mainly due to discolored varnish which conservation can remove. However, sometimes it is not just varnish which needs to go, but also overpaint. As for the hair, the dark brown is not original either, but the result of the darkening of pigments. In Great Malvern Priory's Magnificat window isn't just Prince Arthur, but also what is left of his father. Nowadays just a few original fragments remain, a sad shell of once magnificent image. However, luckily King's head survived, showcasing strawberry blonde hair. This proves beyond any doubt that Tudor's red hair comes from both Henry Tudor and Elizabeth of York. Chronicler Hall described Henry's hair as yellow like burnished gold. That is strawberry blonde. But Hall could only see the king as a child in the 1500s, and the window comes from year 1501. Both after the king turned 40 and reportedly aged prematurely. Thus there is one phenomenon we need to take into account. Some redheads don't turn grey immediately. They turn to a lighter shade of their original hair color first, and only then to grey. Thus there is an exciting possibility that young Henry was a living representation of the red rose. That his hair in youth was more towards red, and strawberry blonde was his lighter aged hair. And he'd go through many different shades in his life. But at this moment we cannot prove it. But we cannot disprove it either. Either way, at certain lengths it might have been curly. As many redheads, Henry's brows were often too light, nearly invisible. Sometimes just a line in their place in portraits. So Henry had period ideal eyes, skin and hair. His figure also fitted period ideal. He was well built, strong and tall. His funeral effigy was 6 feet 1 inch. That's tall nowadays, back then it would be very tall. And his neck was far longer than I used to think. He was also slim his entire life. Though not always as thin as in his last years. Thus don't dismiss Vigil's remarkably attractive comment as a lie. He simply might have viewed the king by period standards. Or maybe there was more to Henry's looks we don't know about. The best-known depictions of Henry VII come from last few years of his life when he was grieving and often severely sick. Of course he's going to look bad. A bit earlier images with fewer wrinkles, possibly from the early 1500s, show a much better-looking man. In this portrait the king resembles Henry Fitzroy. Regarding alleged disfiguration. All English royal art from the time when workshop of Maine at Warwick was active is unflattering and plenty of them have misshapen features. That is not coincidence, that's a pattern. But because art by workshops can be strikingly different, it doesn't hit you that the leading artist behind it is the same person. Some might disagree with my conclusion. They will insist that since it is found in Henry's portraits it must be real and that it is proof he was disfigured. But when the exact same trait is found in portraits labeled as Richard III, they dismiss it as Tudor propaganda. How could that be when the founder of dynasty has it also? There is no point arguing with such people. If we could find portraits by other artists, Henry could look very different. Here are my current suspects. These are by artists who painted royals Henry was friendly with. These purely my hunch and facial resemblance. We'll go over them and the misidentified portraits in detail some other time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe and comment. It helps motivate me to do more videos. Thank you for watching to the end.